We are the Single Malt Review. This is Waiheke. You know the drill. We're looking at their final offering from the core range here, and it's going to be a peaty one.
Tasting pack 3 comes to what I'm hoping for, a big finish. This is another Dyad. Peat and Muscat this time. The Dyad range typically typified by having 2 casks involved in a big way.
Certainly. Peat and Muscat, two rather disparate entities.
Yeah.
Muscat I would associate with sweetness and gentility in either of its forms, whether it is floofy children's booze coming out of a wine bottle, or it's more fortified wood-aged variant, which I had much more time for, but not a lot of contact
Unique
with.
out of this tasting set, it is all peated malt. It's all that Gladfield malt, all peated. It's been in first fill bourbon and Muscat casks, so there's going to be some big flavour coming through here. That's another hallmark of the Dyad range. Of course, the other Dyad from the sample there was a quartet, which has 4 casks uniquely, but that's beside the point. This one's up to 5 years old. It's a 2020 to 2025 maturation. Using, again, a Saccharomyces cerevisiae brewing yeast, what I'm assuming is a brewing yeast. And we have an amber colour, so I'd call it, yeah, that's bright and gold. Looks very nice. So we'll probably have a big, hearty whiff of peat here, I'd expect.
I'd say it's more than a whiff.
Oh, yeah.
Conceivably three to four whiffs in here. As much as we're giving hats off to Waiheke for sending us whiskey, but also making very good whiskey along the way. Also, hats off to Gladfield fueling a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
Canterbury producer up there doing it in Dunsandel. Gladfield have really stepped up to support New Zealand distilling, getting into distilling malt and developing it so that it's good.
So they primarily supply the beer brewers, don't they?
They do, and have done really
And
since
what's the big difference
inception.
between brewer's malt and distiller's malt?
Efficiency.
Right, the amount of available sugar?
Amount of available sugar, you're looking for lower protein in distilling. Right. Historically, distilling malt has been not to call it bland, but you don't want too many adjuncts hanging around unless that you're going for a very particular type of spirit. And so you get it wouldn't make a particularly interesting beer because you wouldn't get much malt flavour out of it. Not to say you wouldn't get anything, but it is built for efficiency, built for throughput typically. But I should go and chew on a grain of Gladfield's distiller's malt. I know where there's a huge sack of them only down the road, so I should really have a taste test there.
They are a regular attendee at our beer and also spirits festivals. Yeah, and they often bring samples of their malt, which is wonderful just to be able to see and smell it up close.
Well, we have an offer to tour the malt works if we ever find ourselves in Dunsandel with the camera, so lock in for that one. Ooh. So, as suggested, this one is all the way peaty.
The nosy notes of candied orange peel, raisins, vanilla, and smoke.
There's a real smoulder to this one. We are getting
a bit of campfire, like a campfire with lots of damp green foliage on it.
It's a marine smoulder. It's a beachside smoulder. It's burning driftwood.
Yes.
There's quite a lot of char in there. There's a little bit of...
just a touch of brackishness.
Yeah, there's a bit of bitumen. There's a bit of fresh asphalt.
And also bracken. Have you ever smelled burning ferns and such on the
I
bonfire?
don't know if I have smelled burning bracken.
It brought back a memory from childhood of a garden burn off.
I've certainly seen bracken, which I wished was on fire whenever it invades the garden, but no, I've never actually had dry stuff to burn. But no, otherwise there is a good malty richness backing that prickly peat.
I've gone straight in at 46%, and it's
pretty strong.
It's the strongest of the bunch here. Well, tied. 46, not mind blowing, but in this case, it delivers the goods.
It's punchy, and as that peated intensity picks up, the cadence of the flavour to me it starts to get into Islay territory. At the lower levels, New Zealand peat has that particularly soft quality, but in higher concentrations, at a higher gauge of peat here, we are really getting into tangy marine Islay territory here. I'm trying to think who it's closest to.
It's still got more of a a bit more of an inland. There's more minerals, more greenery, more damp, loamy soil than the oily saltiness of
It certainly doesn't have any of the animal characteristics.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the fishy or smoky bacon that you get out of a collie load.
Yeah, but tasty notes, palate notes here for dried fruit, citrus, peaty, and toast. And my experience is those, but almost in reverse order. It starts off with a toasted wood and peatiness, then moves into a bit of sharp acidic citrus, and then finally into the concentrated caramelized sugars of the dried fruit.
So with a bit of water,
Yeah, the sweetness takes time to
initially
emerge.
there's a real big burst of chlorine volatile coming off, which you're either a lover or a hater of those, but either way it doesn't last long.
Will be exacerbated by the rather warm, muggy day we
Certainly.
have here.
That's just the volatiles coming off from those that peated malt, and so yeah, it's already dissipating. But it can be a fun buzz if you're into like weird immediate chlorine smells. There is still I'm still getting a bit of iodine from
there's a bit of lime and sea salt. Possibly a hint of lye, like a traditional German pretzel. Just that sort of baked in saltiness. Almost like a crusty whiskey, as it were.
I think there is, legitimately or not, a real maritime character here. And I mean, Waiheke is a maritime distillery. They are not just on the coast, they are in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
They're
really an island.
sitting out there on an island. But yeah, they do distill basically on the seaside. You can see pictures of the distillery, which is absolutely picturesque. Like top 10 picturesque
Next time I'm in
distilleries.
Auckland, I am getting on a ferry and paying Waiheke Island to visit for the first
Absolutely.
time in my life.
I have also never been, but I also almost never go to Auckland. And if I do, I'm usually relegated to beer judging or whatnot, and so I'm not in a position to explore. I thought I was last time, but
maybe we can make a field trip of it
I
sometime.
was said no. You do not know how Auckland works. It is not like the other cities. If you want to go here, you need a day. You don't need 4 hours. And so I took that advice and did not miss my flight. So I ended up better off. But no, Auckland is a different beast to some
One
of the other
city,
cities.
but about 20% of the country's population. It's big.
And 100% of all our worst driving. So. Right. It seems
finish.
I seem a bit like I'm wearing this one out, but I'm getting Kilkerran energy again. It really is. It really is where this whiskey's soul lies. I think, if you need a point of comparison, not one to one by any means, but as the other one was like normal Kilkerran, this is like the heavily peated. It's same tangy, slightly prickly. Acidic,
but with those muscat casks, just forcing a sweet juiciness into an otherwise comparatively young whiskey.
Yeah,
I think finish here they say it's sweet, oily, complex, and spicy, and I got to agree. That's where the sweetness and the oil really comes through. It's a tongue-coating, mouth-filling, clingy oil, and just means that those aromatics and flavors just all stick around and just pervade all your senses.
So, what this is, and what all of these whiskies are both very young, but very mature.
Oh yeah.
None of these have had that slightly cursed flavour of this one needed X number of years to get over. So that just proves how little time you need in our unique aging environment. Where, I mean, Waiheke, as I said, it's perched on the coast of an island, and so very breezy, very airy, lots of communication with the atmosphere there.
It never gets especially cold. Auckland is far to the north of New Zealand, and being a southern hemisphere city, that means it's in the warmer part of the country, but right on the coast too, so there's a constant evening out provided by the sea air. It never gets especially hot in summer or especially cold in winter. It's just warm all the time. And as we see from Indian whiskey, obviously the comparison fails because it never gets to 40 or 50 degrees Celsius here in New Zealand. We would all die otherwise. But it's the same thing as you see also with Taiwanese whiskey and some Japanese whiskies, where it's just persistently warmer atmosphere gives you a much faster maturation. The whiskey just doesn't just converse with the casks, it has a full-on text exchange, and it just forces through maturation.
There's two other factors as well, and feel free to skip ahead here as we do a diatribe on aging conditions. But there's two other factors to the North Island of New Zealand which put it out. One, it's quite humid. Whenever, in the rare occasion I do go to Auckland, you step out of the airport and it's like, ugh, what is... there's some going somewhere between the South and the North Island. There's this subtropical barrier that you go through, and suddenly it's all just a bit. It's different. It's
I'm
not
from
dry
the north
anymore.
originally, so yeah, that's
And
very familiar.
when you age whiskey in a damp environment, when there is lots of moisture in the air, then it has the effect of. My chemistry is probably going to get shaky here, but there's an osmotic gradient. So if you have very moist atmosphere, and then a very alcohol concentrated climate inside your barrel, the alcoholic vapor wants to be where the moisture is, and the moisture wants to be where the alcohol is. Just like if you have something that's really salty and not, it will go between. Osmosis, it's lots of fun.
Yeah, you get all the flavours of a very mature whiskey with all the youthful vigour of a young whiskey. It's kind of like depending on what you like, it can be just the sweet spot, the perfect X factor. It's what makes Taiwanese and Indian whiskey in particular so special.
Yeah. So, scores. Finally, they say. I think it's pretty jolly good peated whiskey. It's a competitive space these days, so it needs to be. You can't be out there knocking out bad peated whiskey and getting away with it. You simply will not, because if you are caught sleeping, Isla is right there to dump a container of probably much cheaper whiskey on you. So you cannot afford to do it. But I do not think Waiheke has done it in any way, shape, or form here. This one, for me, it's so close to the last one, but I'm going down by a single point to 87.
Right.
But it's good in almost all the same ways. It just doesn't have that lovely interplay of the flavours. But still, in terms of peated whiskey, especially New Zealand peated whiskey, you'd have to do a lot worse.
Well, I'm staying in the typically high range here. This is another winner for Waiheke's Dyad series. It brings together two different, very distinct types of casks and lets them both just go to town and delivering spades of flavour, showcasing that peat well, leaving it out to play, really. 90 points from me. Some
Excellent
true
stuff.
gold medal stuff. Yeah.
Excellent
I'm really
stuff.
hoping New Zealand peat needs to become kind of like a thing. In the same way that New Zealand Chardonnay in wine, or New Zealand hops in brewing, they just have this standout, this acclaim and respect, and a worldwide acknowledged appeal. The same needs to happen with New Zealand peat. It is so unique and so different from what we're all used to from Scottish peat.
Well, it's catching on. Waiheke obviously championing it. Thompson's is making several New Zealand peated options now, and so I think really all it took was Gladfield specking it, and suddenly it's that much easier, because no one's, just like in Scotland, no one's out here doing their own maltings, because that's just too jolly expensive in an already very expensive place to do anything, let alone make something. The Gladfield kind of cracked the code on that one there, so hats off to them once again. So that was the, we'll call it the core range from Waiheke, which was
the third sampler set.
very lovely to see. I wish I'd gotten the first one, and I could have a lovely display, because I've got the second one in there, and they've kept the branding nice and consistent. But never mind. Whisky Galore might have an old box out back for me from a used one, so there may be hope after all. But the ride has not ended yet, because we have a couple of single cask offerings,
Into frame,
which will prove to be, I think, some extremely exciting whisky. So join us for those ones very, very soon. And in the meantime, Slanger, and we will be right back.